The following program is sponsored by ProThermal Heating and Cooling. Welcome to Complete Home Comfort with ProThermal Heating and Cooling. This is an hour dedicated to help Tulsans learn about every aspect of a home comfort system. A company that enters your home to serve and be of service to you. Call right now, 918-460-5764. That's 918-460-KRMG. Now, let's get right into Complete Home Comfort with ProThermal Heating and Cooling on 102.3 KRMG. Tulsa's News and Talk.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Labor Day weekend. And welcome to the show, ProThermal, the Complete Home Comfort with ProThermal Heating and Cooling. It's been a while since we've done this, so I'm a little rusty. But I'm Ben Morgan from KRMG. I'm joined by David Coker from ProThermal. David, how you doing?
Doing great.
Good. It's been a while.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Since we've had a live show.
Yeah. I was out of town, and then you had a special anniversary.
Me and my wife's 14th anniversary. Yeah, we've been together 16 years.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
What did you guys do anything special?
Yeah, we went out to eat out at the McGill's out at the casino. It's a pretty fancy restaurant.
Nice. I'm not aware of McGill's, but what do you get at McGill's?
We had steaks, actually.
Very cool.
Which Pastor Kim. So we have a guest today.
All right. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and jump on into it then. Yeah.
I was just, he looked up at me because, Master Kim is with us today. He's actually my acupuncturist. I've had some phenomenal results while seeing him, and I wanted to support his business and so have him on. But one of the things that currently I'm doing is I'm eating plant-based, and so
so you've just spilled the beans.
He gave me a look whenever I said we had steaks the other night.
You just spilled the beans that you've broken the diet.
Yeah.
Master Kim, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here.
How are you feeling today?
I'm doing always great.
Good to have you on a Labor Day weekend special show. A little bit different. We're gonna break format a little bit, talk about something other than AC units and your heating and air. But next week we'll get back into it. We promise we'll be here.
Absolutely.
Next week. We will actually be here next week. Nothing on the schedule. But I'm kind of gonna have to give it over to David. On giving us the flow of the show, because you've kind of surprised us with the show today.
Yeah, me and Master Kim, we had talked about this about a month ago, and then before our 2-week break, with you going out of town and my anniversary and everything, we'd set up this date, a few weeks ago. So I wanted to keep things on schedule and keep things with schedule with him and everything. So today is going to be completely different. We're not necessarily going to discuss anything revolving around air conditioning. It's specifically going to be about Master Kim and his business, KOSA Acupuncture. He's out of the Jinx area. And so the reason why I wanted to bring him on is specifically just because of how much he's actually helped me. I was always a bit skeptical about acupuncture and just natural type healing and stuff like that. I first started going to my first acupuncturist early last year, and I saw some decent results that were optimistic and stuff like that, but that gentleman had closed his business, and so I started looking for another acupuncturist, and so I ran across Master Kim's website, and he's got a huge amount of information on there that was just very, very educational, and I was pretty well impressed, actually. And so I gave him a call. I got my first visit set up. Master Kim actually spent probably 2 hours and 15 minutes with me that day, and it's very one-on-one, very in-depth, you go over all of your physical body symptoms, mental, emotional, all kinds of different things. And then he sits down and does a treatment with you, which was crazy because my very first treatment, while we were doing the treatment, I'd actually started seeing some result. Some of the main things that I started seeing Master Kim for was I've had a lot of inflammation in my eyes for the past 3 years or so. I had taken some medication that was very hard on my liver, and I didn't know this, but whenever you have liver inflammation, the inflammation actually shows up in your eyes. And so Master Kim is the one that diagnosed me. He's kind of started treating me specifically for that, but also for some lower back pain, as fatigue, mental fogginess, abdomen pain around my liver that, again, I didn't know that I was actually having, liver issues at that point. But so the first day he treated me, I started seeing some results right then. But the next morning was whenever I had the big, man, this stuff actually works. So for the first time in 3 years, I woke up and the whites of my eyes were actually white and not red. That it was huge. It was such a big deal. I actually went to my wife. I was like, look how bright white my eyes are. And it's something that I've been self-conscious about because, running a business and dealing with customers, I don't want anybody to ever think that I'm under the influence of anything, but, red, inflamed eyes, especially here in Oklahoma with things that are,
it has some implications.
Yeah. And so, but man, I've been going to see Master Kim probably once a week, sometimes twice a week for the past probably 6 weeks, and it has done me absolute wonders. I've not only my eyes have gotten better, the inflammation that I had around my liver is gone. I don't have any pain, no sensitivity. My lower back has virtually stopped hurting completely. My fatigue, I sleep better. I don't wake up as often. I mean, I was having a lot of sleep issues and just waking up in the middle of the night and stuff like that. One thing that I didn't expect was the becoming a little more like emotionally attached, like connected to like my wife, kids, stuff like that. It's not that I'm not an emotional person, but I just mean like I've noticed that myself feeling more love and empathy and stuff like that. It's kind of unique.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then I've actually had some, like, I felt a little more spiritually connected, kind of unique. And all of this kind of comes from the treatment from Master Kim.
All right. Well, we'll get into that here in just a second, but I will mention that you can call into the show if anything that you hear. If you have any questions for Master Kim about acupuncture in general, you can always call into the show, 918-460-KRMG. That's 918-460-5764. 5764. But David, go ahead and introduce us.
So without further ado, Master Kim, thank you for joining the show today. I would like to kind of go over a bunch of different questions that people may have specifically around acupuncture that kind of to alleviate some of the woo-woo skepticism that's out there. I know that myself, I was always just kind of like, oh, that's just whatever. And I never really would have ever gone to see an acupuncturist myself until I started doing some research and had the very first experience. And so tell us about yourself.
I learned this acupuncture from my father in 2003, and I started to teach first. And 10 years later, I wrote a book, so-called The Silver Bullet, and I started to treat people with various conditions, and my success rate has been almost 100% for any pains or any disorders, even kind of an incurable disease or even disease without even name on it.
Right. And so I noticed while I was reading your book that your mother and your father both practiced KOSA?
Yes, they did.
So, and based off of our conversations previously, like in your office, your mother was actually the first to get started with KOSA. Is that correct?
Yes, my dad was jealous because she was famous.
So these skills it's been a passed down skill for your family. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So what does KOSA Acupuncture stand for?
KOSA is the acronym of Korean Orthodox Sa'am Acupuncture. And many Korean acupuncturists, they think they do this type of acupuncture. So some people even call this acupuncture as a 4 needles technique. But because they don't clearly understand, and they are still claiming that they can do this type of acupuncture, so we had to add orthodox in that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why we use KOSA.
Right, and so how did it originate?
Like 400 years ago, there was a Korean ascetic. His pen name is Saam, S-A-A-H-M, who stayed in the cave for 13 years to invent this type of acupuncture.
Mm-hmm.
And when he passed away, his acupuncture was buried in graveyards. And the early 1950s, my parents' master rediscovered those two books, and then he started to study, teach, and treat people.
So what makes Korean Orthodox Som acupuncture different from other types of acupuncture like Chinese acupuncture?
Both of acupuncture are based on the theory, so-called the yin-yang and 5 elements, but I don't think you are interested in that. However, all other types of acupuncture they're just using experimental acupuncture points. They don't exactly know how to make responsible organs healthier. So some people might have experienced the benefits from other acupuncturists, but for that, the patients and acupuncturist both need to be lucky.
Right.
And at the same time, the effectiveness and powerfulness of their acupuncture, they cannot even come close to my acupuncture.
So that is my personal experience. So the very first acupuncturist I went to see over a year ago, he was a Chinese traditional acupuncturist. And the type of acupuncture he did with me, I would lay flat on a bed and they would put needles across my back and some in my ear and on my hands and stuff. But it was just where I would lay down and be still for 45 minutes or so with the sometimes they would put a heat lamp, especially on my lower back. And I did have some positive response to it. Like I did get a reduction in the inflammation in my eyes a little bit, but nothing major. I mean, it would last for a day or two, but it never would fully correct the issue. I did have some benefit after about 6 visits with my lower back, my sciatica type pain, where that was greatly reduced. And so I did have some good benefit from it, but it was very slow and it wasn't near the experience that I've had with Master Kim. I truly think that he's doing something wonderful in this Tulsa area. I don't know if there's many people out there that actually know about him. That's why I wanted to have him on the show today and just kind of get the word out. If you're dealing with pain, discomfort, neurological type issues, I mean, just about any type of disease or something along those lines, he truly.
All right. Well, I think that's a good spot to take a break on this very unique episode of the Complete Home Comfort Show with ProThermal Heating and Cooling. We're going to bring up that KRMG listener special that Master Kim has brought with us on the other side of this break, and more questions about acupuncture coming up on the Complete Home Comfort with ProThermal Show on 102.3 KRMG Tulsa's News and Talk. Welcome back to the show. It is Complete Home Comfort with ProThermal Heating and Cooling. Ben Morgan here from KRMG. We've got David Coker from ProThermal, and we have Master Kim, acupuncturist, expert. What would your official title be, Master Kim?
Well,
Acupuncture Master Kim. Okay, very easy to do. We're talking about a unique show here today. We've been talking about acupuncture, not a whole lot of air conditioning talk.
Yeah, this is a very unique show. I personally just want to help promote and Master Kim, just because I've had such a great experience with him, and I think it's very unique what he's doing in the Tulsa area. And so, Master Kim, I do have a couple of questions
yes.
about acupuncture terminology, basically. So you had mentioned the 5 elements, and based off our conversations that we have while we're in your office and stuff, you very specifically use those 5 elements to treat me, and I'm assuming all of your patients. Yes. So can you kind of break that down just real quick?
Basically, it's about similarity.
Mm-hmm.
Our DNA resembles our body, and our body resembles the universe. Somehow, thousands of years ago, they found that the universe consists of yin, yang, and 5 elements.
Mm-hmm.
So yin and yang is like wife and husband, like, for example, cold, hot, short, long, dark, bright, that kind of a relative relationship.
Mm-hmm.
There's no absolute number. And 5 elements are like water, wood, fire, earth, metal. Because the universe consists of yin and yang and 5 elements, so does our body. In our theory, we have 12 organs. Since each organ is part of our body, each organ has its own 5-element acupuncture points. And KOSA is the only acupuncture knows how to properly utilize that theory for diagnosis and treatment.
Right, and that's the type of things that Master Kim does with me. Whenever he's specifically dealing with my liver, I have heat in my liver, so he's trying to subdue, correct, the fire,
yes.
And then he fosters with the water element, correct? And so it's very unique, and it's not like anything I've ever experienced. So while I was on your website, I ran across, so here at ProThermal, we're big on supporting our veterans and military and stuff like that. And I noticed on your website that there's actually, the VA will pay for veterans to have acupuncture treatment. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So the veterans can go see their physicians and health department and get authorization. And then once I have that authorization, they will get the treatment provided by their VA.
Okay. And what types of things have you successfully treated with veterans?
Most of them are very sick because of their diet, lifestyle during military. And one of them was injured by rocket-propelled grenade. They're like 10 feet from him. So he had like 1 dozen different surgeries, and he was still having excruciating pain. And after 3 sessions, he lost all the pains.
Whoa.
So he was missing him.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
And even those pains, opioid painkillers could not help. I was able to treat them all. The success rate has been almost 100%.
That's awesome.
Welcome back to a very unique edition of Complete Home Comfort with ProThermal Heating and Cooling. Ben Morgan here from KRMG. I'm joined by David Coker from ProThermal and acupuncture master Kim. We are talking about acupuncture on today's show. I didn't stutter. Acupuncture is what we were talking about today. So how have you been, David?
I've been doing great, really.
Good.
The business has been busy, and the weather's still hot, and air conditioning systems are still breaking.
Master Kim, how have you been?
I'm always good. Thank you.
Good. Enjoying the show so far?
Yes, sir.
Is this your first time on radio?
Yes, this is.
You're taking to it like an absolute pro.
Thank you.
And I mean that. So let's go ahead and reset. Everybody's probably got a whole lot of questions about why we're doing anything on this show today. So, David, go ahead and reset for us.
So I wanted to have Master Kim on to talk about his business, KOSA Acupuncture out of Jinx, primarily just to support his business. I mean, I personally have used him. I've had some tremendous amount of results from instantaneous results at times for some of the symptoms and stuff that I've dealt with over the past few years. And one of the things has been a very persistent issue that I've had for 3 years. And within my first visit and acupuncture with Master Kim, I found relief, and it was phenomenal. So I just wanted to support his business and kind of let people know that he's out there. And, there's so many people walking around these days that are just, The only option that they really think they have is, medicines and painkillers and, all of these different things. And I'm not saying that, not to do that. I'm not trying to give medical advice or of any sort, but there is other options. There's different ways for us to go about healing our body. Our body's designed to heal itself. And so us talking about acupuncture, I'm sure everybody wants to know, and I've done enough research where I kind of understand it now, but why does acupuncture work and how does it work, Master Kim?
Conventional medicine is unfortunately not perfect medicine, and they're missing out very important two things. The first one is the acupuncture points and meridians. And meridians are like lines connecting acupuncture points and acupuncture points. It's like a fiber optic cable, and it can receive and emit the signal even between the acupuncture points. Mm-hmm. And it can even affect like 6 to 8 inches deep. That's the first one. The second one is about the function of organs. So, for example, liver has thousands of different functions in addition to what conventional medicine understands. Mm-hmm. For example, one of the most important responsibilities of your liver is muscle. So when you breathe, you have to use muscle. When you eat, you have to use muscle to eat. And to digest the food, you have to use muscle. Mm-hmm. When you see something, you will have to use the muscles to focus and adjust the eyelid. Everything is from liver. So to me, liver is actually more important than heart. Even heart, if it cannot use muscles properly, how can it pump the blood?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So whenever you're diagnosing a patient and you're going through all the questions and all the stuff from your initial visit, kind of what's the first step in your treatment when it's time to sit down and start the treatment with a patient?
I will have to listen my patient's complaint first, because usually pains are involved, and the location of the pains can tell me which organ is not healthy enough to do prevention and treating that pains and disorders. And also, as I told you before, the function of organs are very important. Mm-hmm. And some people can have a pain where they are not supposed to have a pain, that kind of stuff. Or that's usually due to unhealthy liver. So during initial visit, I do assessment and explains my patients what's going on with their body and organs, and give the treatment, which usually shows immediately drastic improvements. And then I also spend 30 plus minutes with them so that I can give them the information how to expedite the healing. Because my goal, my persistent and kind of a stubborn goal when I see my patients is to lose them as soon as possible.
And that's one of the things that I've noticed with you. Like every time that I've come in, you've done a phenomenal job educating me on the things that I should be doing myself at home. One, my diet, to increase the rate that my healing is actually occurring. And it's made a tremendous amount of difference in my life. And so what about acupuncture with children? Can you actually do acupuncture with children? And if so, how does that work?
I just have to use the same theory and approach as I do to adults. And amazingly, children have a more powerful self-healing system. Mm-hmm. Okay? So, and many children can still get the needles on. Many children also are afraid of needles, but if that's the case, I can use magnets or laser, and again, they show very drastic improvement and very quickly.
So what type of things have you treated children for specifically?
ADHD, dyslexia, bedwetting, asthma, autism, just various conditions. And some children are told that they need to get surgery, but they are too young to get surgery, so they have to wait. But just a few magnets alone, the pain's gone right there in a minute. So.
Yeah, one of the unique things that Master Kim uses is these little bitty tiny magnets, and I generally have magnets on me just about every day. I wore them off this week, but because I didn't get to my appointment with Master Kim earlier this week, just from being so busy with our customers at ProThermal. But it's very unique. Like the use of magnets, I've never heard of it, but it absolutely works. And so,
yeah, I'm not very familiar with the magnets. Or you said lasers. What is that? How does that work?
Well, I just told you before, meridians and acupuncture points are like an electrical system. So there is a radio frequency and electromagnetic field. So the needles and laser and the magnets, they all work on that electrical system.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really neat. So kind of before we head into a break, what would you recommend for the listeners? Like, what's the best way to get a hold of you? What's something that they can do, a way that they can reach out? What's your website or email address?
I closely monitor my emails and text message, and I try to pick up my phone call right away, but when I'm busy, usually due to helping my patients, unfortunately I can't pick it up, so you can leave me a voice message with a name and a brief description of the problem, then I will call you right back.
Okay. And so your website is SAAHM.net. It's SAAHM.net, correct?
Yes, SAAHM.net.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I think that's as good a spot as any to head into a break. Welcome back to the show. It is ProThermal's complete home comfort with ProThermal. I'm going to get used to it. I'm going to get back into it next week. After 2 weeks of being off, you kind of forget what you're doing on Saturdays. But it is complete home comfort with ProThermal heating and cooling. Ben Morgan here from KRMG, David Coker from ProThermal. And we've had an unusual show today with Acupuncture Master Kim. Welcome to the show, and welcome back to the show, and thanks for being on the show.
You're welcome.
This has been a very unique experience, I say again, because we haven't talked at all about heating and air conditioning units today. We've talked all about acupuncture and the benefits and some of the lesser known things about acupuncture, specifically KOSA Acupuncture. Is that right, Mr. Kim?
Yes.
Okay, which is what you practice. We're going to talk about needles for the next couple of minutes. Just fair warning to anybody who maybe gets a little icked out by needles, but I think that might be a common misconception of acupuncture, which is something we're about to talk about, right?
Yeah. So that's, I don't know if you are aware now, but I've volunteered you, Ben, to have an acupuncture needle inserted.
We talked about this over the break. We talked about this over the break. I'm going to go ahead and go for it. I'm going to get acupunctured live here on the air, just for you people, just to sort of explain the sensation of it. It's I'm excited, but I'm a little nervous. So, he's putting it in my arm right now. Oh, that didn't feel like anything.
It doesn't. You don't really feel it ever.
David, if you want to take a picture of this, just to prove to people that it's in there. But yeah, it doesn't really feel like anything. If I had pain in my arm, what would it have felt like just then?
What do you mean by that?
Because I didn't have pain in my arm, but if I had pain in my arm, what would have happened just then?
The unique thing about my acupuncture is we use needles on healthier side. So when you have pain on your left side, I'm going to be using needles on your right side, and usually 4 limbs only. Elbow to fingertips and knee down to toe tips.
Well, I'm not dead is the question. I know you're dying to ask, David.
Well, the reason I wanted to have Master Kim do this was one of the biggest things, I think the reason why most people don't have acupuncture is just because they're afraid that it's actually going to hurt. But they don't realize
it doesn't feel like anything.
Yeah, nothing.
It's the smallest little tiny needle, and it just kind of wiggles about on like the upper layer of your skin. You're not really even. How deep in would you say the needle actually is?
Most acupuncturists believe that the deeper, the more powerful the treatment would be, but that is totally ridiculous understanding, because acupuncture points and meridians are very shallow, right underneath the skins. So insertion depth cannot be deeper than 3/16.
Wow. Okay. So that's barely.
And also the big difference between needles from a doctor's office and my acupuncture is not just the needles are very thin, but also these are not hollow. So there is no possibility you can get infection with this treatment.
Interesting. So full disclosure, the whole show, we've been doing this. I've had, this was actually my second time getting acupunctured. Master Kim acupunctured my neck right before the show started, and I've still got the needle in the back of my neck. So explain how that works.
Well, that is very teeny tiny needle, and that specific type of needle can stay in your skin like for 24/7, and it will be working for you 24/7. And usually, even 10 plus in 10 pain can disappear in a couple of seconds.
And it did. So I've been in Rocklahoma last night, and I'm going to go again. And so I've been doing a lot of head banging. And you asked me what kind of pain I was experiencing, and I told you my neck hurt a little bit from the head banging. And so when you put the needle in my neck, it was kind of like a popping a bubble or like a release of pressure. Almost instantaneously on my neck, and I've never had acupuncture before, so I had no idea what to experience. But that was, at the very least, very, very unique feeling.
Yeah, the day that I went to see Master Kim, the very first day, one of the symptoms that I had was sciatica. So my lower back constantly is having pain type issues. It's just an injury from working and stuff like that. But so Master Kim actually put one of those same type of needles in my lower back, and within maybe 3 minutes, my back was no longer.
He just took the needle out of my arm, and that didn't feel like anything at all.
Yeah, there's no pain associated with it.
No.
But within about 3 minutes of him inserting the needle in my the location of my sciatica pain, there was no pain, which is crazy because anybody that has sciatica pain knows how debilitating it could be sometimes. I mean, there's been times that I haven't been able to hardly walk because my sciatica was so bad, and it was just almost instantaneous how fast that actually worked. And it's just a little bitty tiny needle, but the placement of it and the knowledge behind it, I guess, is the main thing that matters.
All right. One more time, we'll talk about Master Kim's KRMG radio special. And Master Kim, thank you so much for joining us today.
Most welcome, and thank you.
Oh, of course. David, you want to talk about the ProThermal bit of the KRMG or the complete home comfort show on KRMG.
Special deal that we do every week. It's a $232 value. We offer it for $39. It's a full system rejuvenation check. We check the system top to bottom, go through the entire the ducting system, static pressure, thermodynamics, do a temperature difference check to check it for efficiency. We do this so that we give the listeners an opportunity to try us out. Give us a chance to wow you. And if you want to kind of look us up, go online, look at ProThermalHeatingandCooling.com. All of our reviews are posted to our website. You can actually sign up, schedule directly to our scheduler from our website. So you pick time, date, and we'll show up on time.
All right, David, great show.
Absolutely.
Master Kim, great show.
Thank you.
All right. We will see you all next week. We'll have a brand spanking new, very normal edition of Complete Home Comfort with ProThermal on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Happy Labor Day.